Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is technically chapter 85 of Cute Little Love Letters, and this one is titled Wedding Day Part 1. This is a time skip to your and Denki's wedding, about 7 years after you met Denki in high school. So you're about 22, 23 years old. Your mum delicately placed the crown of gems on your head, a beautiful golden wire wreath intertwined with all of the gems for prosperity and love. Rose quartz, vibrant green malachite, deep purple amethyst, royal citrine yellow, and of course the deep red garnet for passion and commitment placed at the centre of your adorning. With a tear in her eye, your mum stood back to look at you. "Oh, my sweet girl," she said with tender love in her voice. "What a beautiful being you are, inside and out." "Thank you, Mum," you said lovingly, trying not to tear up as well. "Your father is going to be so proud to walk you down the aisle. He's going to fall over when he sees you," she said. You giggled a little and tenderly wiped an eye. "I'm so excited, but nervous," you said with lightly furrowed brows. "You may feel that way, but your aura is showing a clear and calm colour," your mum said knowingly. "You know you've made the right choice, and we love Denki dearly." You leaned in and hugged your mum. She really was the sweetest. There was a knock on the door then, and your mum and you both looked over at it. "Mrs. Lin and Miss Yin, we are ready for you," the voice said from the other side of the door, and you smiled. "Thank you, Mr. Furuo. We'll be there soon," you called. "We will wait with patient excitement," he replied from the other side, and you smiled. "Won't be long," you said again. "Well, my love," your mum said with a squeeze to your hand, "best not keep your man waiting too long." You smiled and walked with her to the door to head out into the hall. As you walked out, your beautiful white wedding dress flowed out behind you. Your mum had made it herself, crafting it from the finest silk that she had been collecting for months from a colony of silkworms deep in the forest behind your house. She had lovingly cared for them and bought many foods for them to eat, and in exchange she took some silk, making sure that she wasn't over-farming them. Down the hall you walked with her, the olden archways giving the place a medieval feel as you made your way to the doors that would lead out to the courtyard beyond. When you and Denki had been looking for a place to have your wedding, you'd both decided on an outdoor setting. Denki had very sweetly suggested that maybe your extended Faerie family would like to watch from the safety of the trees, and he wanted them to feel like they were welcome. You had thought this was a very sweet gesture, and had readily agreed, since you'd been hoping for an outdoor wedding yourself. You'd seen the glowing butterflies a few times over the years, and had taken comfort in knowing that they were always close and always keeping watch over you. This old building in particular had caught Denki's attention when you were looking for a venue, as it appeared to be surrounded by animals and wildlife. Although it wasn't open to the public anymore, he tracked down the owner and asked if he could use it for his and your wedding. The owner agreed, finding this to be a sign of good luck and wanting to possibly market this place as a wedding venue if it was successful for you and Denki. You reached the giant iron doors that led to the courtyard beyond and waited, smiling at the two who were waiting for the signal there. "Wait, and I will get your father and take a seat in the venue myself," your mum said. "Also, your reception garment is already in the wedding carriage to go with you to your photo shoot place," she added, patting your arm gently before walking off into a side passage. She disappeared from sight, and you heard her speak to your father, who was waiting there round the corner, and then he stepped around from behind the wall and looked at you. At first he just froze, his wide eyes taking you all in before he raised a hand to his mouth and his eyes filled with tears. "You look beautiful, my Fae," he whispered in a shaky voice as he approached you, almost too scared to walk into your presence. You tearfully smiled back and held a hand out to him. "Come on, Dad, it's just me," you said with a smile. He walked over and took your hand, and then wrapped your arm gently around his so he could escort you, and then he turned to the door and nodded at the guards. "We're ready. Are you ready?" he then asked you quickly, and you took a deep breath in and nodded. The guards replied to the nod, and both swung the doors open as your chosen entry song started to play. Everyone on the chairs in the outside courtyard gently stood as you started your walk, but your eyes had locked onto Denki, standing proudly in his suit at the front next to the officiator. He looked as handsome as always. As you headed down the aisle slowly, you looked from left to right at everyone, giving them all smiles as you passed, and most were whispering about how beautiful you looked. As you neared the front, you looked up to your bridesmaids. Kendo, Olex and Komori were there for you, and then Denki had Sero and Krishma. Krishma was holding a cut-out picture of Mineta as the replacement for the actual person, since Mineta had been detained in a back room for inappropriate comments to the bridesmaids. Thanks to Sero for that move. You smiled at them, and Olex gave you a bright wave, which made you giggle. Sometimes they didn't quite read the room and just did what they wanted to do, and it was cute. As you got to the foot of the stairs at the front rostrum, your dad stopped, waiting for Denki to come down to get you. "Here, son," your dad said with tears in his eyes. "I now pass the responsibility to you. Care for her, like I know you will." "Oh, don't you worry, Dad," Denki said with his hand held up to fist bump your dad, and they fist bumped, and then your dad reached out and pulled Denki into a big hug, the pair sharing a moment together. "Dad, it's supposed to be me you're hugging and giving to Denki," you giggled. "Oh, right," your dad said with a cheeky smile as he let Denki go. "Okay, my sweet Fae. Fly free," he said as he took a special gem lace from his pocket and took Denki's left hand and your right hand and put your hands together and then wrapped the beautiful delicate gem lace around your hands to keep you intertwined. "You two go. Go together into the future and stay by each other's side," he said as he let you go. Denki grinned at you and then led you gently up onto the podium and stood facing you holding your hands in front of the officiator, who smiled at you both and then signalled for the music to stop playing. "We are gathered here today," he said in a loud voice, "to pay respects and to delight in the joining of Denki Kaminari and Yin Lin, who are today becoming one." There were some polite claps and whistles at his opening line, and he continued. "As it has been told to me, these two had an interesting start to their relationship," he began. While he talked about how you and Denki had met at UA, two glowing butterflies flitted around you and Denki and then landed lightly on your golden gemmed wreath crown, and Denki looked up at them, his face brightening. "They're here," Denki whispered to you, and you nodded with tears in your eyes. "I hope Grandma's here too," you thought. "Saria, Thillian, please tell her I'm getting married to the love of my life." The officiator continued, and you tuned back in when he started talking about the part where Denki had wanted to find out who had been dropping cute little love letters into his locker. "And so," the officiator said with a small chuckle, "he caught her in a jar." There was a ripple of disbelieving chuckles and gasps through the crowd, and you looked at everyone and nodded. "It's true," you called out. "But hey," the officiator said, "it's worked for this young man. He now has himself a beautiful fiancée and soon-to-be wife, but maybe it's not recommended for everyone. Maybe this is only to be attempted by professionals," he added cheekily, which caused another round of giggles. He continued on telling about how you and Denki had just gotten slowly closer and closer together over the years, to where you had graduated from UA together, and then how you went on to be pro-heroes together. "We have ourselves two beautiful pro-heroes," the officiator said, "and we hope for little heroes to come from these two in the future too." "Hear, hear," your dad called, which made people giggle and chuckle at his comment. The ceremony continued on until it got to the vows, and then the officiator handed over to Denki to say his vows first. "Go on, Denki, we believe in you. Stay tuned for tomorrow. Part 2 of the wedding will be posted then. I'll see you then."